I just hit record, so.
Same. I just restarted my recording. Hi.
Hello.
What time are we ising?
00.
Okay.
Okay.
I can do that.
Okay.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Should watch
100%. Yeah, that's it. We're done. I'm gonna put some hand sanitizer on my hands.
There is so much Cutthroat Kitchen that I never saw. Like on because I've been watching a lot of it on YouTube because people have illicitly uploaded it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that might be something I need
have
to
not
watch.
I have not come across a single episode that I have seen before. Like I'm seeing judges that I didn't know were on the show.
It's like when I discovered there was a whole season of the UK version of Kitchen Nightmares that I hadn't seen, which was a nice discovery because that show's great. The US version is trash, however.
I think they stopped. Yeah, they stopped running it in 2017. And I guess I don't even know. They had like a bunch of tournaments. Like, yeah, I'm into it. Okay. We ready to get this thing on the recode.
Excuse me.
Don't do this.
Look, I'm sad. You gotta give me this.
Then we should have been doing it from week one from me. You know what I'm saying?
Depression.
Anyways.
All right. Hello and welcome to episode 112 of Gaming Fyx on this March 14th, 2020. That's right. It's leg day. Don't skip it. I am your host, Andre Cole, aka your girl's favorite work from home tip. I am joined today by Alex.
I baked a pie for Pie Day yesterday, and that's the day they told us to work from home. So now I have a whole pie in my fridge.
Oh no.
I think you mean, oh yeah. Also joining us, Pat.
Hello. I also began work from home proceedings yesterday, and I'm already losing my mind. But, you know, it's worth it.
And also working from home, Allison.
I'm also working from home, although I do not have a full pie. And for that, I am like, is that something I should have prepared for?
Several times I've been like, man, I really need to get some treats to have like on hand while I've been out, because I had to go out and like go to the drugstore and pick up a prescription yesterday and stuff, and I keep not doing it. Then it's gonna come back and bite me in the ass soon. I
have a bag of Kit Kats, and when that runs out, it's all over. But I also only have
That's very grim.
That's dark. Yeah.
But also I only have one beer in my fridge, so I'm like, do I want to go out?
Well,
we were discussing last night that we're gonna have to like very much be careful about that kind of stuff, because I bought like a 12 pack of a beer on Thursday and we were down to 4 of them last night.
Yep.
I was like, oh yeah. I mean, we were both drinking it, so it's not like it was just me, but
you know what else we can stockpile and have not in our fridge, and it'll last through the apocalypse?
Video games.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to last through the apocalypse.
I've been reading this manga. It's called One Piece. Have you heard of it?
No. What is it?
I don't want to do this.
It's so long that no single human can read every issue, they say.
It's the last of the big 3.
Yeah, it's still going.
Yep.
But anyway, that manga's good. But video games.
I was kind of kidding too. You can talk about One Piece if you want to.
It's good. People should read One Piece because it's real good. It's made me laugh more than I ever expected, and I think it's like serious enough but still funny enough. Like I think Naruto is like too up its own ass at times, but One Piece is perfect.
I read the first I don't know 30 volumes. It was a long time.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. I read it for there's a lot of One Piece though.
Yeah, it's been going for like 20 years.
I had a Shonen Jump subscription when I was when it was like pretty new. So I read it for quite a long time, and it was like one volume would be amazing, and then the next volume would be absolute trash. Like the back and forth between the quality levels without changing in any kind of like creative team or anything was staggering to me.
I'm reading it so quickly because if you have the Shonen Jump app and subscription, which is like $2, you can read everything they've ever put out in Shonen Jump and everything that's coming out. So I'm just hauling through it. I'm like halfway through One Piece now, and that's like almost 1,000 issues. So,
well, when you finish 1,000 issues, you're gonna have to come back here and give it one piece of your mind.
You know what I can give one piece of my mind about?
Oh God, yeah.
One Piece Pirate Warriors 3. Oh, I played that for about 5 minutes and then I uninstalled it.
I can't imagine that the One Piece game, that there's a single One Piece game that's like even passable as free and for like children. Not that children don't deserve good games, but
it's a Dynasty Warriors. It's a Muso game.
Yeah, but it's still got to be terrible.
And it goes, it's a Muso game. So yeah. I guess it goes through like the entire, at least up until that point, like I don't know if it's where the anime is or, but like it like, so you start off and you're like saving Zoro or Zolo as he is in the books. But
I do not like the anime at all.
Anyway, video games.
Where do we want to start? We actually have a bunch of them this week.
How about we start with the most anime of the video games here?
Call of Duty Warzone?
Yeah. Nothing is more anime than Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Guys with guns and skulls on their face, and you die and you teleport into like a shower and you fight.
Well, you technically teleport to the waiting area, which is like the cells around the shower, and then once your match starts, what's wonderful about the gulag in Warzone is you can throw rocks with the grenade button, and so like if you and your team die at the same time, you can like fuck with your team member's opponent in their 1v1 by throwing rocks at their head.
What does that like stun them or make them
it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything meaningful enough to like, it's like the equivalent of if they got shot by like the weakest weapon in the game. It just shows a little damage indicator. It doesn't do enough damage to actually matter at all, but it shows them a damage indicator that someone hit them from a certain direction. And so it's like, it is unnerving when you're about to 1v1 someone with a pistol to have someone throwing rocks at you.
Yeah, it's disorienting almost.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah. Do we actually want to talk about Warzone?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're here.
So Call of Duty Warzone is the new battle royale from Infinity Ward, and is built on the kind of, I'm not gonna say bones, because it's more like
the foundation
appendage. It's kind of like this built on the meat of
it's like an unlicensed edition, an unlicensed edition.
Except it's very much licensed. It is a part of the official release of Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
It sounds like there's some shenanigans going on to like make it work for a game that is not built for 150 or however many people they can put in there.
I don't know about any. Yeah, I don't know about any like back end shenanigans. I know that it's pretty seamless if it is.
Yeah. Just like menus and stuff are not exactly built out for the in-game stuff, or like scoreboard, leaderboard, whatever they're called. Stuff like that. I don't know, but
yeah, I don't know. You can't really look at any from what I've seen, you can't really look at any data of other players. But
my joke worked, damn it.
But it is one of those in a lot of ways. I was at first, when I heard about there being a battle royale mode, I was kind of skeptical that it would be interesting because I wasn't sure how much more ground there was to tread, but actually I was just excited because I really like Modern Warfare. So I thought that, like, yeah, sure, I'll play a new mode of that. But
you liked some of the battle royales that have existed, right?
Oh yeah. I like the genre quite a bit. I like PUBG. I liked PUBG a lot before cheating started becoming so rampant in it. I played probably a good, 100 hours of PUBG during the golden period when it was still pre 1.0.
Yeah.
And played quite a lot of. I've still played more Fortnite Save the World than Fortnite Battle Royale, but I've probably played a good 100 or so matches of Fortnite. I played a lot of Apex when that came out last year. So yeah, I like the genre quite a bit. Blackout was fine, but it was probably my least favorite battle royale to come out in that cluster of stuff. That was the Black Ops 4 battle royale. And I really think that Warzone improves upon the formula quite a lot. If you're like deep into Apex, I don't know that it's something that's going to pull you away from Apex. But if you're kind of looking for one that's kind of fresh, then it's definitely one to look at. The things that kind of differentiate it is squad based like Apex. That's why I draw that comparison. So it's 3-person squads. There is no solo or duo mode. You can choose not to fill your squad, but then you're up against squads of 3 people. So, there's all that. It's the same feel as Call of Duty Modern Warfare, if you've been playing Modern Warfare, which is part of why I'm enjoying it, because there's not really any learning curve to understanding the way the shooting feels. In a similar way to, I played a lot of Titanfall 2, and Apex is kind of built on that. So it's sort of similar. But Modern Warfare, Warzone is even more like Modern Warfare than Apex is like Titanfall 2. The biggest difference is that you have armor. So the time to kill is higher in Warzone. It's very funny because one of the complaints that I saw from some people on Twitter is that the time to kill is way too low in Warzone compared to other battle royales, and that's why they don't like it. And I was like, are you kidding me? The time to kill is so high, because I've been playing like standard Modern Warfare now pretty steadily for 3 months. So to me, adding the armor on actually like doubles the time to kill, and that makes it feel very high. But it's good. It's because, it's kind of it's not easy to just like, you don't just respawn. You have to get a whole new game if you die. So
yeah,
unless
sorry, no, go for it.
The big unique parts of Warzone are, when you die, you get a second chance to spawn by going to what's called the Gulag, which is basically like this 1v1 prison showers match where both players are given the same loadout, and it can be anything really, any kind of weapon. And it's a standard gunfight 1v1 where you have a short time limit, and if one person doesn't kill the other person, then a flag spawns in the middle, and if you run to the flag, you win.
That's basically gunfight, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's the same rule set as gunfight. And if you win, you get spawned back in the air above your team. When the match starts, it's the standard, like there's a big, huge C-130 flying over a big battlefield, and you jump out. Then the other big differentiator that I think is the Gulag is cool. It's a fun thing to have one more shot at coming back. The other thing that is very different about Warzone on the surface is there's these contracts that you can pick up around the map, which they're like little side quests kind of that you're doing within the match. So it might be to assassinate like a specific player. It might be to capture a point somewhere on the map, or it might be to open certain chests that are in sort of the vicinity of where you pick up the mission. And when you complete missions, you get a payout in cash. You also pick up cash from chests and just on the ground. And then there are buy stations around the map where you can buy You can respawn your dead teammates there, and you can buy kill streaks, and like you can buy a gas mask there, which a gas mask gives you like a set of armor for being in this out of the circle for a limited time. You can buy like armor loadouts. You can actually buy your multiplayer loadouts as well. So you can spend, if you have enough money at a buy station, you can just buy one of your loadouts that you've built for standard multiplayer games. So those are the big differentiators, that Gulag and the fact that there's a cash kind of economy. When you die, you drop your money so people can pick it up. And it makes for much longer matches that are a lot more, the combat tends to get pretty tactical pretty quick in terms of, not that like other games do too, but Fortnite, well, I'm not an expert, is very much a like action shooter where
it's arcade.
Like it's very arcadey, and it's the kind of thing where like you might just like run up on someone and build cover as you go kind of thing, if you have the resources to do it. So this game feels like a very much a kind of in the middle between PUBG and Apex in terms of its flow, where early on it feels very much like Apex, where you're just like, because you also spawn with a pistol, so you feel very ballsy like early on to just, we need to get some stuff, we're going to land, if there's going to be 10 people around us when we land, like we'll fight who we fight. But it feels very fast in the beginning, and then as the match starts to grow on, it starts to feel a lot like PUBG, where you're doing a lot of careful consideration of where you're going to move next and looking at like cover points along the way. I had one of the coolest moments that I've had in a battle royale in a long time last night, because of the way Modern Warfare does suppression and stuff. I like ran, we were at an airport, it was just my buddy and I left. I ran across an open area to get to a cargo plane to get inside of it. There was no cover along the way. Someone on a rooftop pretty far away saw me running and started shooting at me, and they hit me like a couple of times, but I was okay, just dented my armor. And my buddy needed to move, so I like repaired my armor and then stepped out and started just, I knew what direction they were shooting from. I couldn't see them, but I just started firing at the rooftop that they were on, and that gave him enough like cover to move across the space. And I managed to like hit the person once kind of randomly, and that suppressed them enough to like get my buddy across the open area. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it gets pretty tactical and feels more like you're playing something like a PUBG as the matches progress.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why, like, I really liked PUBG as well, especially when it came out. And I think I tried Fortnite and tried Apex, but neither of them hit for me in the same way, because I think largely because they didn't have the same tension that PUBG had, especially like once you're in the top 50, there's a lot more tension just because of the way it works, and how much, like a single round of PUBG can take like 45, 50 minutes if it's a long one. Like, so there's a lot more investment in it rather than in like Fortnite or whatever, because that's usually like 15 minutes. Anyways, yeah, this sounds like it is striking more of the PUBG balance, so it sounds more interesting.
Yeah. The games tend to be around a half hour long for me so far. Excuse me. We got into the highest I've placed so far is 7th place in terms of teams. We had a couple of games last night where we got that high, but it's designed to escalate. The timing of the matches I think is pretty good. Where like how fast and how far the circle moves, where it feels almost like a accelerated version of PUBG, where the circle does close a lot faster than in PUBG, but you still get that good mid game where there's only, 20 teams left or whatever, and people are starting to converge, and it's starting to feel very like, if you're in a building, you're going to move room to room very carefully and stuff like that. The thing about it that is my favorite thing by far, I like the Gulag stuff. I like the side missions. I think they're cool. And specifically the best thing about side missions is taking the assassination contracts is a really good way to force yourself to get into engagements, because when you take a contract on someone to kill a player, you get a rough like map marker of where they are. So it actually encourages you to take the contract and then go hunt someone down rather than play defensively and turtle up. So that part's very fun.
That actually seems like a good way to counteract people who do camp. Because if they get a contract on them, it's going to force people to come to them.
When you have a contract on you, you know it, and you actually get like a counter contract to survive. So you get a payout if they don't kill you. And you get to see a 3-bar like threat level to see how close they are to you. So you do get some sense of like how if you need to be like head on a swivel, or if it's just that someone has the contract and they're far away. But yeah, our best game last night, we were picking up, we were like kind of roaming around a small area, and which happened to have a bunch of assassin contracts in it, and we kept taking them. And so we killed like 7 or 8 teams just by like, okay, we're taking the contract, so we have kind of general vision on them on the map and know which direction they're coming from, and then we can set up an ambush. And so I think that's totally like the way to play it, is to focus on those contracts, whether you do the assassination or the other kinds of contracts, because the other contracts kind of lead you around the map too. And the nice thing about the weapons is in Fortnite, if you get a legendary assault rifle, it's just better than the rare assault rifle. In Warzone, the weapons do have tiers, but they're tied to the blueprints that you can get in the base multiplayer game, which are not inherently like better. They kind of are better than like the gun by itself, because they do have mods, like better mods on them. But for example, there was an instance where I had the option of picking up a legendary assault rifle, but because of the engagement ranges we were at, I stuck with the blue one that I had because it had a better sight on it for like short and medium range engagements. The legendary one had a scope, and I didn't want a scope because I know, because I play the base game, that the guns do the same damage. There are attachments that can increase damage, but it's always a trade-off. So you're getting better guns is still fun because they're like the existing really cool looking blueprints, but you're never like, it's more balanced than something like a Fortnite. I could still pretty much just as easily kill you with a gun that doesn't have any attachments, because the attachments always are some kind of trade-off. But my favorite thing about it, and I won't go on for a long time, but it's, I think, maybe the coolest map of any battle royale that I have played. The amount of variation in the terrain is cool, and about half of the map is very urban. So
cool. So you're actually going in buildings and
yes,
that's cool.
Yeah, and it's like very smartly divided up between the more urban environments and the kind of more rural environments. And there's just so many features that it's almost always interesting. Like every time you drop, it's like, okay, cool. So this is going to be this is the game we're going to play this time. We're going to play the game where we're moving from house to house, or this is the game we're going to play this time. We're going to play the game where we try to get a truck and drive across the airfield where there's going to be a ton of people shooting at us. So it's just, the map is just like so well designed that and I guess it uses a lot of elements from the co-op mode, which I have not touched because I heard such negative things about it. So some of the, like Blackout was all pieces of multiplayer maps.
Yeah.
This is all pieces of cooperative scenarios. So it feels very fresh to me because I haven't been playing the co-op. So I that part of it is very, very cool. And it's just very, it feels very thematic, and you feel very much like when you're playing it with another person and like voice chatting, you're very much like communicating a lot about the game itself, which is pretty cool. Like when I play games with friends, a lot of times it turns into just like a conference call where we're chatting while we're idly playing the game. But my buddy and I last night were very focused, which was neat. So yeah.
So it's free to play. What is the free to playness of it? Like all of it sounds pretty full featured without even mentioning that. So
yeah, I mean, it's free to play, but it's the kind of free to play where you really could, I don't know what their So it has a battle pass that's tied to the base battle pass of the game. Like it's the same battle pass between Modern Warfare and Warzone, which is
like weapon cosmetics.
Yes. So, it's awesome for me because I'm trying to level up the battle pass anyway. I managed to actually level up the first battle pass, and now we're on the second one. That's the interesting thing is most of the rewards on the battle pass, they're things like calling card stuff, emotes, skins for operators, and gun blueprints. But the gun blueprints don't really matter for Warzone because that's what you're picking them up in the map. You can't it's not like Fortnite where you can set a weapon cosmetic so all of your assault rifles look a certain way. So the skins are a thing, I guess, but like the skins in Modern Warfare are not particularly, they're more for you to know you have it because the game moves so fast that you're not like looking at other people's skins really. And so it's interesting because it's like, I don't know why you would buy the battle pass if you're just playing Warzone.
Well, can you put like that little Tamagotchi thing on your watch?
Yeah, you can, but that's not a part of the battle pass.
No, I thought it was part of the battle pass.
No, you buy that. Now there are watches you can unlock in the battle pass. So
yeah, but if it's not a Tamagotchi, then why would you even buy it? Why would you get
That's the only watch cosmetic that I would purchase. Yes. So anyway, it's interesting because I mean, I guess it's something to level up, but the bonuses for doing the battle pass are much more geared towards the base multiplayer. Now, I bet in the next season there'll probably be more operator skins and like watches and stuff like that that are more like less weapon blueprints maybe. But yeah, I mean, otherwise it's free to play and it's from the same client and stuff. It tells you that you should buy Modern Warfare in the main menu because you can see the other pillars like the campaign, multiplayer, and co-op. But you can just ignore that and play Warzone. So yeah, I mean, I would say too,
if you own Call of Duty, is it all just the same launcher?
Yes. Yeah. It was just an update to Modern Warfare for me. And not even a very big one because it just sewed together. The map just sews together all of the
and it seems stuff. Like they had already put the map in like from
I guess that's what
so it was already in there. So
yeah. There was a pretty big update for season 2. That was probably
60 gigs or something.
Yeah, that was probably the one that I think it was 80 gigs of install and like 60 gigs of download or something like that. Because I remember I was like very worried about my cap the day that season 2 started. The other thing that's important to note is that when you win a game of Warzone, it says "get some" on the screen. And then your team is extracted in a helicopter and it shows like credits, a list of all the people who died in the game. And it says in memoriam over the thing, which is stupid.
That sounds extremely dumb.
Also, every time you pick up, based on the rarity tiers, there's a different stinger for every kind of loot. So like if you pick up a legendary, it'll go like dun, 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 and it's always like a heavy metal noise.
Yeah,
that sounds like
Call of Duty.
Yeah, and you can just do it over and over again. So if you find like a legendary gun and you already have one, you can just keep pressing the button to swap weapons and it'll just keep playing Stinger over and over again. It's also very dumb.
Nice.
But
Warzone.
Yeah,
no,
it's cool.
It sounds interesting. It's not like, I feel like I know personally as somebody that doesn't play a lot of these battle royale games, nor do I play Call of Duty. I heard it and I was like, well, they might as well put out a battle royale, but it really sounds like they've addressed some of the issues with earlier ones.
Yeah.
And they've made it their own, which is cool.
They do also have a plunder mode, which is like a different mode where you respawn. I didn't like it very much. It's like a 30-minute match timer and you're bringing in loadouts to the map, the battle royale map. It's still squad based and you're trying to get as much money as possible. It actually plays a lot like the Dark Zone from The Division. because you're trying to get to these helipads, and then you call in a helicopter and load your money onto the helicopter to like secure it. Otherwise, you drop it when you die. It's a cool concept. I think it just needs some tweaking, because right now the mode, when I played it, I was playing with randoms, to be fair, but it just felt very much like as soon as you died once, you were screwed, because everyone was watching for people dropping back in. And like, you don't just like spawn on your team, you still parachute in. And at least I think I'm remembering that right. And I just remember we were like getting into these fights where we were trying to fight over a landing pad, and there would be 2 other squads set up, and we would just get spawn killed over and over again. And it was very frustrating. And my team we just ended up kind of getting pretty destroyed. And then right at the end of the match, I went on a tear and killed like 2 squads of people and took all their money. And then we ended up in 7th place. So it's like, we played really poorly for the first 20 minutes of the match. And then the last 10 minutes came back to being kind of okay position. And you know, comebacks are good. You should be able to do that. But I don't know. It just felt weirdly paced and pretty uneven. And it also, the score cap to win is $1 million. And we got like, the highest team had like 400,000 after 30 minutes when it timed out. So it seems like it's going to go to time every time. And 30 minutes of, it turns out 30 minutes of spawning on the same map over and over again, with the same like couple loadouts, even if it's a cool battle royale map, it's not as fun as having to procure your stuff and like play strategically and stuff. So yeah, Plunder needs some work. I almost think like Plunder, they should take the spawn timers down and just go hog wild and make it so that there's just like constantly people respawning, so that you're encouraged to just fight a ton rather than be kind of stealthy. And then when it all goes to shit, then you're all screwed. I don't know. I'm not a game designer, but.
Well, if only we all were, and then we could have infinite games.
You'd have infinite battle royales.
Yep. Infinite monkeys on infinite typewriters will eventually program infinite battle royales.
100 battle royales drop into a hard drive.
100 Warios jump from a plane going,
oh God. Oh my God. They say as they fail to open their parachutes.
But then they just fart before they hit the ground, and then they're okay.
One of the best parts about Warzone that my friend and I were saying, they should just make it like a thing you can load into. The pre-match in Warzone is they drop you into a tight area of the map with a random weapon, and then you shoot at people. And when you get kills, it gives you battle pass experience in that pre-match area.
That's cool.
Yes. You don't lose anything for dying, but when you get kills, you get battle pass experience. It's very fun because you immediately spawn as soon as you die, and you can cut your parachute and then shoot people while you're skydiving and then redeploy your parachute.
Okay. That's just cause.
Which did yes, it is very just cause. It did happen to me in one game where I jumped out with the huge blob of people jumping out of the plane, and someone killed me right after I got out of the plane, because you spawn with a pistol. And so they cut their parachute and shot me and killed me, and then redeployed their chute. I was like, what just happened?
That's wow.
I tried to do that in my next game, and it was borderline impossible. And I'm not great at Call of Duty, but I've gotten to be at least average, and it seemed completely out of reach skill-wise.
Like one of those videos of people in Battlefield where they jump out of like a plane and then snipe a person and then jump into that person's plane as it like collides with them.
There are lots of videos of that kind of thing going around. That has happened. I've seen videos of that with helicopters happening already in Warzone, because there are helicopters.
You know what game doesn't have helicopters though?
What's that?
Lots of games.
We got lots of games we can talk about that don't have helicopters. What do you guys?
Yeah, that seems like a very like.
Yeah, you guys.
I know one of them on the list kind of does have a helicopter. So
wait, really?
I mean, an animal helicopter.
That's not.
Oh,
that's not a thing. What animal is most like a helicopter?
Well, I'm just saying that there's in Ori, there's like animals with tails that are like helicopter
What
Yes.
animal is most like a helicopter, huh?
Yeah. I
Um,
don't know.
probably hummingbirds because they
Riddle
don't
me
have
that.
like rotary blades, but
They do float. They
Yeah.
can, they can hover.
and they yeah, it's the hovering. Yeah,
Or could be like a
Dragonfly.
bug, an insect of some sort, a fly, a bee.
yeah. I don't think there's anything with like a rotary wing.
There's like those the seed things.
Yeah, but those aren't
that's
animals.
not a bug. It's not a bug.
You
Anyways,
said animal.
are we going to Ori? Is that what's
I
happening?
guess we are. Yeah.
All
we're
right.
going to Ori.
Yeah, I mean-
Ori and the Will of the Wisps came out this week on Game Pass on Xbox and PC. And
Really, kind of just on Xbox because the PC version's pretty.
the PC version is
messed up.
unfortunately messed up. They are aware. They're working to fix it.
Yeah, there's a whole.
But-
They have a whole section of their site dedicated to bug advocacy. I don't know. They're putting out their bugs.
Bug advocacy.
The Xbox version is fine. The Xbox version had that I have played so far. I had some frame drops, but they were barely noticeable. It's more just I'm hyper aware of any frame drops because it's an Xbox One X. So I'm like, this should not be dropping below 60.
Look at Xbox Gaming Club over here.
But oh god, we can't do that.
Well, before jumping into the negatives, so Pat and Andre, you've both played this. Did you both play and finish the original Ori?
I played the original. I did not play like the definitive edition or whatever that came out afterwards that fixed like some of the glaring issues with that game. Like, you couldn't go back to some areas, which in Metroidvania is fucked up.
Yeah, I played it like 2 weeks ago, so I played the definitive edition. That would explain more I didn't even know those issues existed. That would explain a lot more why that game was not as revered in end of the decade stuff. Because like I got done playing that game and was like, why the hell did this not show up on any top 10 of the decade list? Because I thought playing through the definitive edition, it was profoundly incredible. I think
it just had like a major glaring flaw where areas were cut off before, like if you didn't finish an area in like the course of your normal.
That makes sense. I can think of the areas that
you were cut off.
Yeah, there I can tell what areas that would have been, and I mean that would suck. I don't know. I still think it's pretty. Even that aside, still pretty.
Yeah, it's a very good game.
And I think the reason that it's important to get the negatives out of the way for Will of the Wisps, which it's buggy on PC specifically.
I lost a save. Maybe I didn't need to lose that save because I guess they let you roll back your save a little bit. But cool. I got locked in a room and I was like, well, there's no way out of here. And I just like rebooted the game and it's like, nope, still stuck in this room. Okay, I guess I'm going to delete the save. I'm only like 45 minutes in and I can skip through a lot of stuff. So I got about back to where I was in like 20 minutes, but yeah, still annoyed.
I played the first hour or so and was kind of moving forward. And it is that game. What they have done, first of all, the beginning of the game is like heart-wrenching in the same way that the first game was, although with a little bit less consequence, but still it touches on some themes that I think are impressive in the way that it like talks about them and stuff. And specifically that the sort of there are themes of physical disability that I think are pretty moving. At least they were to me in the kind of beginning moments of the game. And then you're kind of with a little bit less sadness from the first game than there was in the first game. You're sort of set off on a new adventure in a totally new space that the characters haven't been to before. And the biggest thing with this game is it's now very much like Hollow Knight. Not in a, I don't think it's, I think it's cool. I don't think it's like they just ripped off Hollow Knight and
it's doing it in a like it's still very much Ori and kind of the movement and all that stuff is very much its own thing, but it has like taken some stuff like I think they're called buttons or pins in Hollow Knight.
They're called pins,
and so you get like these upgrades that you can have like a few of equipped, and in Hollow Knight they have different values. So like maybe one costs like three slots or whatever to equip. Here they have the same kind of idea, but they only like you can just have 3 equipped, and it's any 3. It seems like.
Yeah, they're just different. Some of them have more than one level that you can upgrade.
Yeah, you can upgrade them, but they only take up 1 slot in your because you can just 1 slot of the 3 that you can have equipped, and so like the first one you get is like you can stick to walls, or you can like pull orbs closer to you, and like. So much so that's like, why is this even like? Because you could just have made this the like default because you get it so early. It should just be like, oh, okay, you get this right away, no matter what. Like, or it is just the way it is built and balanced from the start, and not like an upgrade. But
I think probably for later game balance, they want it to be one of those so that it makes sense.
It's a trade off, and like, okay, you can stick to walls, or you can do some other thing. I don't know.
Yeah, and there some of them are more like. Just like take less damage. There's one that you get early that's like deal and take more damage. But then some of them are things like that. They're like stick to walls and stuff. So it seems like you'll be swapping them out at different times to kind of get through different sequences, which is cool. And then from a combat perspective, they just totally like the game has been pretty vastly overhauled. The first game had combat, but it was more of an afterthought. It felt like where you just kind of mash the button when you're nearby enemies and they get hit. This one
stuff just kind of happens.
Yeah, this one it's much more like you have a whole wheel of weapons and abilities, and you're equipping them to the X, Y, and B buttons on a controller. And then you can, just sort of freely flow between using them. So you can use your sword ability 3 or 4 times, and then throw a fireball at someone or something. And it feels really fluid and fast and fun to like do the different combat, like do the different attacks and stuff like that. And then to kind of pair it with the movement. The only thing that I'm missing so far is I feel like I need some kind of a dodge. Because there's certain enemies that like they have attack patterns. It's very much a game about recognizing your enemy's attack patterns and then reacting to like knowing they're gonna do, so that way you don't get hit. And there's a couple of times when I was like, I really should have a quick dodge button that I can like cancel an attack with. But that's for one, I bet that's gonna pop up eventually, and 2, it's a pretty minor complaint. So I think it's.
I haven't gotten super far yet, like I've said, but just the combat and running around is really great. And I wish, like, I'm going to hold off on playing it more on PC until, like, it sounds like they get some of the bugs ironed out.
Yeah, that's
because I'd like to not have a negative experience with this game, because like the art is great, the music is great, which is to be expected because they were both great in the first game. And I've been waiting for this game for so long, so I don't want them to screw it up, or I don't want to have it tainted just because it's got a rocky launch.
Yeah, and it does sound like it's been a super rocky launch. Like, Cheska has been playing it, and she messaged me saying, yeah, this game is awesome, except for the parts where I've had to completely restart my game, basically. So, yeah, I would like to play it, but I think I'm just going to wait until everything is ironed out.
Yeah, that's the smart move, I think. Or play it on an Xbox if you have an Xbox.
I do not.
Because it seems pretty okay.
I don't know what that is.
It's a PC.
All right.
It's the most powerful console ever made.
So the direct Xbox from 2001.
Anyway, yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about it right now.
I want to play more of it.
It's kind of cool. There's more like NPCs and stuff that you talk to. There's someone who sells you maps.
Very Hollow Knight.
Yeah. And there's a weapon vendor that you talk to, and he like sells you different weapons and stuff. So it has a little bit more like character to the world, I guess, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of characters, Murder by Numbers, that's got characters in it.
Yes, it does.
It certainly does.
It's got a lot of them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's got like probably more than 5. Is that a lot?
It definitely has more than 5. I can confirm.
All right.
How far into Murder by Numbers are you, Allison?
I started the third case not too long ago.
Okay. And I'm about halfway-ish through the third case, so we're not terribly far apart. Again, I think we talked about it last week, but Murder by Numbers is basically the visual novel where you're playing someone who unwittingly became a detective, and you were solving murders and mysteries, etc., by way of doing Picross.
It's my favorite store, Murders, Mysteries, etc.
Mm-hmm. Mine too. I've been there many times. But like also Scooby coming out soon. Anyways, yeah, so like you're looking for clues in the environment, kind of Danganronpa style, if you want to think of it that way, where you're looking around a room and then you find a thing, and then to collect the evidence and inspect it and look at it and have it analyzed, you're doing a Picross puzzle of whatever that piece of evidence is.
Yeah, for me, it feels like I've been thinking about it a lot as like Ace Attorney, and the Ace Attorney composer actually came back for the music, so that's part of it. But it's also like the kind of you're looking for clues, but you're also putting those clues together with a Picross. And I actually really like how they justify it in universe, because you have a robot friend Scout. And Picross is basically him doing a scan.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's definitely not the most out there justification, but it never feels like, boy, it's weird that we're doing Picross to find the evidence, because it's all justified.
Yeah, it does make sense in universe. So.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the Picross gets hard.
It does.
I'm
pretty early on, too.
Yeah. Like, I'm explicitly not using any hints because you do get graded at the end of each case up to S tier. And if you use hints, it lowers the point value of what you get awarded at the end of.
Yeah. And I want to get S tier. So.
Yeah, same here. I don't know if there's an ending associated with it. I don't know any of that, but. Like,
well, have you looked into Scout's memories?
I've done a couple, yeah.
Yeah, because if you each time you go up a rank, you get more puzzles to do, and if you do all of the puzzles there, then you get a memory from Scout. Because one of the conceits is that Scout has lost memory, and you're trying to find memory.
Yeah, and they justified at the very opening of the game with like Scout's loading screen coming up, and it's saying like, "Oh, this area of my memory is corrupted," or like my storage is corrupted.
Which is also the tutorial.
Yeah. Which is also the tutorial. But yeah, no, it's been good. I would say the first two cases were entertaining, but not particularly like deep or anything. Like it was entertaining. But,
it felt cozy.
Yeah,
like
totally.
That's how I would put it. Is that it's like it's very good, but it was like kind of like a cozy mystery type.
Yeah, the way I described
like somebody died, but you know.
Yeah, the way I described it in our chat is wholesome, which is weird to say in a murder game, but like it never takes itself super seriously, but like it has a sense of humor, and but it takes itself seriously enough when it wants to, like that kind of thing. But it never felt like it was trying to push any buttons, I guess.
Right.
Whereas the third case is really interesting, and it goes places. Like I'm not going to say, because I don't know where you are in it, but it definitely goes some places that I was not expecting.
Well, even just playing it near the start of that case, it basically it starts at a gay bar, and it deals with kind of like that, with that kind of subculture, especially since it's set in the 90s. So things are not necessarily as accepting, although all of the main characters are basically like, yeah, there's no reason not to be accepting, but
yeah. It ends up going in some, I'm not going to say much because I'd rather keep it unspoiled for folks, but like
I'm interested to see. I'll let you know how it goes when I find out. But yeah, no, I really love all of the Ace Attorney games, and I have a very big affection for games kind of like this, so it's really nice to it's just a very nice game to have. Like it just even if things are going to get progressively less wholesome in terms of story. It feels kind of wholesome to play and just go, I'm going to do some Picross and solve a murder, which is nice.
Yeah, it's been good, and I will say I think it's going to be a long game because I would say the first case probably took me, I think I said 3.5 to 4 hours or something like that, and then the second one probably similar, maybe a little longer, but this one feels like it's going to be longer because it starts you immediately with way harder puzzles. So the puzzles are going to take like 15 to 20 minutes.
I was surprised at how quickly it gave you tough puzzles. I thought that I like completely thought that they were going to be doing a whole like, oh, let's ramp you up into Picross difficulty. But they are doing some pretty tough 15 by 15 grids. And I'm like, yeah, it's really stretched my Picross abilities.
Yeah, totally. Like when you finally get a puzzle where you've filled out like one of the edges, like one of the walls, you're like, oh, thank God. So I actually have a point of reference, because usually it's like giving you stuff in the middle and that's all you're getting.
Yeah, and you're just hard. Like, and I'm just like counting each side so that I'm like trying to find all those overlaps, because I'm like, okay, there's nothing here, so I'm just trying to find what scraps I can.
Exactly.
To kind of build something together.
But I'm looking forward. I'm going to have it finished this week because, working from home this week means I'm going to have a decent amount of time for video games.
Hell yeah, no commute, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
I always felt weird bringing my Switch with me to work and like playing it at lunch or something. So.
Yeah, but now it's like, you don't have to feel weird because you're at home.
Yep, and I'm also not wearing pants, so it's fine. But anyways, Murder by Numbers has been very good so far. I would say it's my favorite game of the year thus far. Granted,
probably.
I've played 3 games this year, including this. So
yeah, I was gonna say like it's my favorite game of the year so far. By far, but also I'm like trying to think of what games I've played.
It's been a pretty weak year so far, to be fair.
Agreed.
But things are starting to kick off now.
It's true.
Things this week, more stuff is coming out.
But I
haven't played. What's it called? I haven't played Dreams yet. So
Dreams is going to be an interesting thing to talk about at the end of the year. Because it's amazing, but I don't know, man. It's not really like it's what people do with it. So
it's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to evaluate. Yeah,
we'll get to Dreams later in the show.
Could people make Journey in Dreams?
Probably
not with the multiplayer aspect.
Yeah, that's true.
But
there's no reason you couldn't do the rest though.
But could you have a scarf which grows every time Wario dies by some stupid means?
Probably, yeah. I don't see why not.
Do you have a scarf? There's another game where you die by stupid means, not memes.
I die by stupid memes all the time. That's actually what Zoomers do, where they eat, the leg sweep challenge or whatever.
What? Oh, God. What is that? I haven't heard of this.
I don't think it's the leg. It's all. We'll talk about it later. Okay. It's some TikTok shit, and it's.
Why will we talk about it later?
Because I don't know the exact details right now, but it's like causing people to like go to the hospital and have like concussions and shit.
Oh my God. Okay, what other video games do we have to talk about?
Well,
Allison played another game.
I
did.
Alan. Oh, it's been a long week.
It has.
You can say that again.
I have not been working from home. I have been working with small children, and oh boy, are my arms tired. I played
Allison,
dodgeball. Okay. Guard us from this conversation, Allison.
Some
sort of round, some targe or round shield.
What?
What?
Where are
I
you
don't
going
know
with
What
this?
you're thinking? Is it? Did you play Roundguard? Was that?
Yeah, I played Roundguard. I was just confused
See,
with
like,
what you were
like
saying.
a round, like a targe is a shield. You guard
Yes, I
targe is
know.
round.
I got what you were. Yeah.
Oh god.
Okay.
My
Anyways,
misery. COVID,
I-
take me now.
I played Roundguard. I only played it like maybe an
Oh
hour
my
or two.
god.
I can't do this. Please tell us about Roundguard.
What is
I
Roundguard?
just slammed my table
Sorry.
with my elbow too.
Sorry,
You
Allison. Please continue.
Mark that.
Okay, Alan.
So Roundguard, it's basically Peggle, but
Sick.
but it's Peggle where it's a roguelite RPG. So you're moving through a dungeon. Each kind of room of the dungeon is a screen like you'd have for Peggle. And each room you have to defeat the enemies in it. You have a couple of skills that you can use, but most of the time you defeat an enemy by hitting it. But when you hit an enemy, you also get hit back, which means that's going to deplete your health. So it's kind of, you have to, as you move through it, you can get new skills and you can get upgraded armor and you can get upgraded weapons and things like that. But you're just basically trying to survive and go as long as you can while you're upgrading and while you're leveling up in this kind of roguelite dungeon. So it's maybe because of this, it's maybe not quite as like I don't know how to describe it. Chill as Peggle, but it's an interesting game, and it's definitely kind of a fun twist on both Peggle and a roguelite RPG dungeon crawler.
I feel like Peggle is a really good game that never really found clones. You know,
Yeah.
like this feels
which
like
is surprising because Peggle is good.
yeah,
but
also the way you're describing it just from that short bit kind of reminds me of Solitarica almost immediately.
Yeah, it's the type of thing where it's where it takes a kind of a basic it actually that's not far off. It takes kind of a similar, like a thing that if you've played Peggle, you know basically how the thing goes. But it takes that kind of framework and puts an interesting twist on all of it, which is fun.
Yeah, like it sounds cool. Can you tell, like, does it seem replayable? Like if
yeah, I mean, hence the roguelite. Like you're doing basically runs of it. So I've done just a couple of runs. But it's extremely replayable because it's a roguelite, so it's generating new things. You're at the end of at the end of each screen, you're choosing which path you go down.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So there's different areas and there's a lot of different enemies, cool. And there's a lot of different like ways things can go down. So there's a lot of replayability for sure.
So when you finish a round, does it slow everything down, zoom in, and have a group of people going, oh?
It doesn't have the oh, but it definitely does the slow down and zooms in and then boom.
Royalty-free classical music?
Does it fill up your hard drive with clips of you playing the game?
That
you can never fucking find because it hides them somewhere deep within your Xbox's hard drive.
No, but I'm playing on Switch, so my Switch might run out of space, and I'll be like, "Where's all the space gone?" And it's all because of Roundguard.
It's contracting all around us, and it's going to.
Roundguard will likely be the thing that keeps me from canceling Apple Arcade for the next 3 months.
Oh, it's on Apple Arcade. Okay,
it is on Apple Arcade.
I did not notice that. I bought it like it was one of those things where I saw somebody tweet about it, and it was like Peggle roguelite RPG, and I was like, fuck, I need that, and I bought it.
But you also love playing on your Switch, and like it's on Apple Arcade, but it's like $20 on other platforms. So it's like 4 months of Apple Arcade or buy the game. If there's nothing else on Apple Arcade that you're going to play.
That's about how much I've paid for Apple Arcade at this point. I've barely played anything on it.
Right. Like I played.
And I canceled Apple Arcade a while ago, so I definitely have to pay at least $5 to renew it. But
between Card of Darkness and Grindstone, I feel like I've been getting, like I have gotten like some money's worth out of it. But definitely, if you're not still playing games like that regularly, there's not a huge point. So
all right, well that's Roundguard. Cool. Apple Arcade, Switch, PC, other consoles.
Don't know.
PS4, Xbox.
No.
Well,
we could look it up, but
how
look it up yourself.
Here's if you want to play it so bad, how about you go and Google it?
Yeah, if you until you people start paying us, I'm not going to look up where the games are.
It is on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. But fuck you.
We could have made that a Patreon tier.
Just kidding.
Yeah, for $5 a month, we'll tell you where all the games that we're talking about are purchasable.
To get an exclusive version of the show that includes show notes.
We'll be less harsh towards our audience.
Confrontational.
For $5 a
that's
month.
the word. Yeah, thank you.
For $5 a month, you can get a shorter version of this podcast.
That is a value proposition there.
Oh, yeah. One monthly payment.
Okay.
All right. Well, now it's my turn to tell you all about the hottest sequel this side of 2016, 2017. I don't know. 2017, right?
Doom 64.
No. Nioh 2. Nioh 2 came out this week on Tuesday, I think, the same day as Ori, and I was like really excited for Ori, but then Ori was not doing super hot on my PC, so I ended up picking up hot. No, that's a game. But Nioh 2 also, it's a game.
It's a game.
Did you weren't super in love with the first Nioh, right? Or
no, I like Nioh. I fought for it on our Game of the Year stuff, but it did not make the cut. But yeah, no, I like Nioh. I didn't like that game's hard. I'd say it's harder than Dark Souls, in my opinion. And Nioh 2 does not fuck around. It starts off real hard. Which is fun, kind of. It's interesting, but they don't do a great job, I think, of like they do. So Nioh is a Souls-like, and kind of its big like differentiating point is the combat system has a like 3-stance system where you've got like high stance, which gives you like more attack power. Mid stance, which is like more balanced, where you can like guard more but also have like decent attack, and then a low stance, which helps you can like guard while moving faster, you can dodge better and like take less stamina to dodge, but you do less damage but you're faster, and you can kind of switch between those on the fly and combo if you get really good at the combat system. And then also it has discrete levels. So you'll do like a level and then you'll get kicked out to like a world map, and then you'll pick a new level, and maybe it'll be a remixed version of the level you just played, or it'll take place on like a different part where you're going through parts of that. And so when you're in these levels, you get to like sections that are just kind of like a gut check where it's like, okay, now here's a yokai, which is like a big demon. And you have to beat that before you can move on. And it's not a boss. It's just like a strong enemy. And if you beat it once, then it's gone and you don't have to fight it again. But they're tough. Like, and there's like, I'm going to hit you like maybe 3 times and you're dead. It's like, man, God damn it. They're pretty good about opening up shortcuts and stuff, which is nice. And there's tons of summoning spots where you can summon, I think they're other players. Like they're not live, but you're like summoning other players' characters that they created. Gotcha. And then they come in and then they can just like do AI stuff. But to summon them, you need like an item, and you get the item like Ochoko cups. and you get the items by beating revenants, which are players who died. You can summon them and then you fight them, and if you beat them, then you'll get some items. Then depending on the strength of the level of the character, you need more. So like at the first level, there's like, here's this level 31 guy, you need like 4 cups. And then I summoned him and he did like barely, it seemed like he wasn't doing much more damage than I was, because I was like, what is this like? I summoned in the first game and like it was useful just because I think it's pretty tough and difficult. But yeah, so I haven't even beaten the first level yet. I didn't have a ton of time to play. I'm pretty close, I think, but it seems like you're meant to come back to these levels because there's like a boss or like a big enemy at the very beginning that's like, I have no hope of beating this right now. It's like a big horse weird demon thing. But it's got some cool stuff going for it. In the first game, you were playing like this British guy, like the first British person to visit Japan or something. But in this one, you make your own character. So you can be like a black person, you can be Asian, you can be man, woman, whatever you want. You can have an eye patch. You can even customize like I think in the first game, they didn't have like the yokai form. I'm trying to remember. I played a little bit earlier this year or late last year, but there's like the yokai form, which is where you become like demon. They didn't have this in the first game because in this game, you're part demon. Like you've got demon blood in you. So you can become a yokai with like your special move for like a limited time. And it like there are different forms. There's like a feral form and like the wisdom form, I don't know, like a magic form and a strength form, basically. Like feral is fast. And you can customize the look of those. So that's all like really cool. And they give you a lot of options for how to look. So as like, it's very much building off the like format that Nioh set up. It like, if you played Nioh 1, you know what to expect coming into Nioh 2. There's like some refinements and some small changes, it seems so far. At least in like terms of gameplay, like the customization and stuff is probably a little more advanced in Nioh 2. But I haven't played far enough to really see what that stuff is like. But it seems more difficult, and if you're into that, then this is a game for you. But there is a nice concession where this is a Souls-like game that you can actually pause.
Nice.
Like it does, like normally, like you can't pause and change your like items, but you like if you're like, oh shit, I need to like go do a thing, you can like hit the menu and then hit the start button and it'll pause the game, which is nice. So if that's a concern for you, you can do that. Also returning from the first game is like the shrines and the little kodama that you find throughout the level. And if you find kodama, then they can give you like a bonus to stuff you find, like, oh, find extra money or find extra healing stuff around the level, like 25% chance. So, you know, all that stuff's nice. I look forward to getting deeper into it. I think there's co-op, and I heard the co-op is actually really good, but I don't know if people are like playing with friends specifically or if they're just playing online. I'm not sure if like it's story stuff, if you can go like your own story or through that or whatnot, but I want to check out more of it. It seems good.
It's cool. Yeah. I feel like there's been no hype for this game.
They did a bunch of like beta tests. People seem to like it. I have seen people saying it's really good on like social media. And so that made me like, okay, if people are saying it's like so good, then I'll pick it up. Like I enjoyed the first game. But like if people seem to be very hot on this one that I have seen.
I guess,
but it hasn't had like a ton of press.
Yeah. Like I just feel like even I don't watch Twitter that closely. I personally have not been seeing that much about it, but I mean, obviously the news pipes have been kind of filled with other shit at the moment. So that's also possibly a side effect.
Yeah. It's all that toilet paper people are buying up.
Exactly.
It was bound to happen. It's it's a game that I think because it's so difficult, doesn't necessarily appeal to even like the general Souls audience. Maybe I think you can get through, most people who play the Souls games could get through it, but it's also like very long. I feel like I played the first game for about 80 hours, and that was like doing the story stuff.
Do you think
maybe I was bad, but I think I put like 80 hours in, and that was like to get to credits and then like do a little bit of the epilogue.
Do you feel that it's worth playing the first game if you
They're not connected, and they're so similar that, like, from what I can tell so far, they're so similar that you could just jump into this game and there's no story connection. It's like set during like warring faction, what was the warring states, Sengoku, Japan, and it's I think there's like one new weapon, I think, and it's the Switchglaive, which is like a big ass anime scythe. But then it's like when you're in the high stance, it's a big anime scythe. When you're in a like the medium stance, it's more of like a spear or like a glaive. Mm-hmm. And then when you're in the low stance, it does like a thing where you're like holding the handle, and then the blade is like over your hand, kind of like it comes back, and it's like the switch axe in Bloodborne, I think is what it was.
I guess I'm kind of more wondering, like, I don't think I will play. I mean, I still haven't played through Sekiro or some of the other Souls games, so it's not like I'm like, ooh, gotta get it. But I feel like since I already own the complete edition of the first game, it makes more sense to just play that, and then if I enjoy it, get the second game down the road a little bit. I think the combat system is very cool, and like it can be very in depth, and like the different weapons. I think just like for pure combat experience, I think Sekiro is a better game. It's kind of somewhat similar because it's not throwing a ton of enemies at you at once. Like you're rarely overwhelmed. And the same for Sekiro. You get like a few enemies sometimes, but if that happens, generally you've screwed up mostly.
I'm still thinking about why I haven't heard much about this game. And Sekiro was really popular, obviously. And the common link, they're like, to me, both these games are pretty niche. Like Souls, like they're still niche, even though they're more popular. But Sekiro was from Software. Like all the popular, like Bloodborne is from Software. Dark Souls is all from Software. This is Team Ninja. Do you think the fact that it's not from Software is making like the Dark Souls hardcore crowd just kind of ignoring it? Like where they would have looked at Sekiro being like, oh, this is from Soft. This is Miyazaki. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's look at that.
I mean, I think there's like the FromSoft name, it gets a lot more, like everyone gets excited about it. I think Nioh was well received, but I couldn't say. It seemed like it was well received, but it also seems like a game where people could have easily fallen off because it was so long, or like the structure or what have you. I think the Souls games are a lot more replayable in that way. But I couldn't
open world.
Like the world construction. Like I think the Nioh looks great. It's fun. The combat is interesting, and it can be very deep if you actually do. I think there is a really cool level in Nioh.
I think you look great and are fun.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you. There's like a whole like ninja trap house level.
What? Like they're playing trap music and house music all in one?
They're just like crunking and twerking and bouncing. No, but it's like,
oh my god.
But you're going through this house, and like there's secret doors and like false floors and things like that. So I hope there's something similar.
When I hear Ninja Trap House, I assumed you meant a place where they are like cooking opium.
We went two very different directions.
Yeah.
It's where Ninja streams from and they play trap music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trap houses mean different things in different places.
Yeah, especially on the internet. Anyway, yeah.
Seems good.
Nioh 2. Yeah, it seems good, but again, I haven't even beaten the first level, but like even like the tutorial area, they have the dojo from which is kind of where you do all your training in the first game. They have a different training area.
Sorry, when you said that, my broken
in this dojo.
My broken internet brain thought doggo, and I was like,
it's the same doggo from the first game. There are dogs that you can use as like your spirit animal that like use for like special abilities. So there are some changes to the combat. Like there's like what is it called, Spirit Rush, where like enemies will do like an attack where they glow red, and then if you use like R2 and circle, you'll do like a counter to that kind of. Like you leave behind an after image, and if they hit the after image, then they get like a ton of like key damage. And then if you hit them with that, then they take extra damage. Yeah, there's a lot going on. I want to play more.
Would you say they get a damage boost?
The yokai get a damage boost if they stand in the yokai realm that they create when they attack. But you can, if you do an attack and then you do like a good replenish, that's like one of the big things is you can replenish stamina after attacks in this game by hitting like R1. If you replenish your stamina while standing in the yokai realm, you'll like dispel it, and then they're weaker then. So
yeah,
yeah.
Hashtag damage.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, they didn't pay for that. No. Subscribe to our $100 Patreon tier
to be hashtagged.
Yeah.
No, seems good. Do you have any idea how long it is? Like how deep into it you are?
I'm on the first level.
Yeah, but does it give any indication of like you're this far in? It seems like it's this large.
For like the level, I imagine I am right about at the boss because I opened up. I'm at like the second checkpoint, and I opened like the shortcut after the second checkpoint. So I imagine that's right before the boss. But then I had to stop and eat dinner and watch Toy Story 4.
Had to.
Hey, it's White Day. You gotta
it is.
Satisfy the girlfriend. For those who don't know, in Japan on Valentine's Day, women give gifts to the men in their lives, whether that be coworkers or it's actually kind of messed up because like women have to give gifts to like coworkers and stuff, but I don't think men have to reciprocate those. But then on White Day, a month later, on March 14th, men reciprocate to their like girlfriends or wives or people they're interested in if they received some such gift on Valentine's Day. It's interesting. Anyway. Also interesting. Oh boy, has it been a news week.
But we're only covering video game news in this one.
Yes. Yeah. But even then, a lot has happened. This is like a month worth of news, so kind of.
I was thinking back, like, in the past 7 days since the last we did this podcast, and fuck, a lot has happened.
Yeah. Well, the first big thing, let's get it out of the way.
Yep.
All gaming events are fucking canceled.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
They're all done.
The big one, of course, is E3.
Electronic Entertainment Expo.
Or E2, according to some other web news organization wrote E2 instead of E3. So even E2 is out.
Which two E's is it?
The Entertainment Expo.
That opens the door to a lot more. They gotta get back. They gotta go to Vegas on the same weekend as now that CES isn't on the same weekend as the the AVN Awards.
Yeah,
AVN. That's definitely canceled.
Yeah, they can have some. They'll have a bunch of trap house rooms there.
It's a good thing they don't have that in Italy because man, that awards would definitely not.
Everything's canceled. Sporting events canceled. NBA season's canceled.
Yeah,
one is now not starting until May.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just take a mulligan on 2020? Like,
nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
We get what we get.
Okay.
This is the world's fault.
I'm still mad at Airbnb.
I'm really glad you're cutting to the heart of the issue. Airbnb.
That's personally, that's where I have been most screwed on this. I have still had to go to work. I've had like other weird work shit, but I have not been like forced to work from home. Even though I was expecting to be working from home, but then they had me do some other shit. Anyway, so E3 canceled. But yeah, so there's some other stuff came out around the E3 being canceled. Like Microsoft, Ubisoft, and some other game companies still plan to do like conferences or like videos announcing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And
whether that's around the same time or
it should be what was the name of the company? 8-bit.
I am 8-bit.
I am 8-bit. They
withdrew.
It was on Tuesday that they withdrew.
Yeah, and they were saying like, hey, it wasn't because of COVID-19. It was like creative differences.
Yeah, they were like, hey, good luck to this event. We're not doing it.
Yeah,
basically.
And that was like E3's. Jeff Keighley's not going to be here, but I am 8-bit is helping put on the show.
Yeah, and then they dropped out, and then the next day they canceled the event.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's So E3 not going to happen, but we'll still get some information on new games at some point this year because we've got new consoles, which may or may not come out this year.
Yeah, that's tough to say at this point. Like
China seems to be indicating that things are getting not worse. They have leveled off at least. So maybe
it is worth taking that with a grain of salt. It should be said.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. China has said this. So maybe like production on electronics and that kind of stuff will be able to start back up and consoles can be made.
The stuff I'm seeing this morning, news from China, and it's hard to tell, obviously, like what that means, but is that they're like actually doing a pretty good job at this point of containing and sanitizing, and that they will probably be the first country to recover from this, aside from Taiwan, which fucking nailed it as far as I know. They're like, I don't know if I haven't looked at their infection numbers recently, but they have done the best in the world at managing it from what I've seen.
Madagascar shit.
Yep. Oh, they sealed up as soon as they heard anything.
Yeah, which was very smart of them.
Man, Brazil coughed.
But but to your point, Andre, I think this is going to be the year where everybody moves into digital conferences, kind of direct style, and they release whatever they want whenever they want. And then they don't go to E3 next year, even though it's going to be happening.
I think any of these companies could easily do like, hey, we're going to be at PAX and we're going to do a big event like before PAX to like announce stuff, and then you'll be able to see the shit we announce at PAX. Like if you're going. The
thing is that I don't think. I mean, I don't mean this in an alarmist, like panicky way either. I think we should be pretty prepared to not have a PAX like that.
I don't mean this year. I just mean in general going forward. Next
gotcha.
year.
Yeah. We're looking at, from what I've heard numbers like at least 6 months before we even have a vaccine, and then 18 months before there's any kind of like real usable treatment for people who already have the infection. So I don't know. It's tough. It's that, but I'm also not a health professional, so I don't know.
I want to avoid us getting too deep into the weeds on that stuff, but just because I'm sick of the discourse.
Yeah,
I would die of the discourse before I die of the virus.
And that's why I think it's probably worth us moving on entirely, because we're also not engineers or manufacturing leaders, so we don't know anything about that.
I think talking about the so E3's canceled, a bunch of events are canceled. Bit Summit, which I was really excited to go to in Kyoto, was canceled. But yeah, so Microsoft, Ubisoft, and another company, was it Square? Somebody else said they're gonna like do something else and to like still do like a press conference type thing or like a direct type video. Yeah. And then Warner Brothers is rumored. I think Jason Schreier said they were gonna be talking about Harry Potter, Batman, and whatever Rocksteady's doing, and probably some like Lego shit, or who knows what else they'd be doing. Injustice.
Yeah. I think the biggest question for that stuff is like whatever of that was next gen, like you can't really talk about it until Sony and Microsoft like kind of, I mean, you can announce it, but you just can't.
I mean, people are already saying like this game's coming out on PS5 and
no, I know, but
like
you can't, it might screw up the timing of your press cycle if the consoles get, depending on how delays are going, it's just hard to say.
Well, yeah. So I think if, and with the way people are being forced to work from home because of the situation, then our game's going to get delayed and stuff like that. There was something about
they are
like outsourcing stuff. Yeah.
But
so
they are.
But I think if they get out there and say, hey, here's what we've got, it's coming, TM, then Rocksteady has been quiet for like 5 years now.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to hear anything from them for a bit longer either. Out of
it'll be interesting to see what happens with all that stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if next year more people don't like E3 is weirder, and if it comes back, and if more people say, we'll do an event around like a PAX, and then you can go to PAX and you can see the stuff we announced at the event like a week before.
I feel like E3 is just
like that.
E3 is just going to become a public event, not a press event. Unfortunately.
With that, what does it actually mean for the event? And does it still matter at that point and whatnot? But
at what point does the public actively go, wait, I wanted to go to E3 because it was this like exclusive big event, and
no, it's not.
And if it's not, then it's like,
well, it already kind of isn't.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, like the first year that they opened it up to the public, I can imagine it's like, oh, this is exciting, this is new. But like after that, and it becomes mostly a public event, why would you want to go to E3 instead of like PAX or something?
Well, and like as someone who has gone to PAX the past couple of years, I really enjoy PAX as a local person. And I think that this isn't a reflection on like the event staff or the organization or anything. So this is more gaming events in general. It's one thing if you have like good friends that you're going to go see. I think for a lot of people, that's the biggest appeal of PAX, is they get to see a lot of friends that they don't normally see. It's great for that. And it's fun to go as someone who's local. I wouldn't want to fly to LA to go to PAX. Sure. Like if I flew to LA and the experience I had was what I get from PAX, I would be like, wow, this was an expensive trip to do this. I guess like PAX is cool, and I think everyone should try to get to a PAX that's nearest to them at least once to see how they like it. But like what at a certain point, like, and I think this is getting younger, the age where this happens is getting younger and younger for people as we go further and further. It doesn't really matter that much if you get to play a game for 10 minutes 1 month before it comes out, like,
especially because like E3 is all like the biggest games. Like you get the occasional like, oh, Microsoft's got like some indie games that they're promoting, but if you go to like PAX or you go to like a Bit Summit or like a smaller convention, you're going to see like more indie stuff.
And that's the coolest part about it, is that you find out about games you would not have necessarily heard about otherwise.
Exactly. Whereas E3, like, oh, I played Spider-Man and I'm going to buy it and I'm going to play it in 2 months.
Yeah. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not dunking on PAX. It's a cool event and the panels are good usually, but even, I don't know, it just, paying a bunch of money it's so expensive. That's the thing, to do these shows. So paying a bunch of money to get to stand in line for hours to play a game for a very short amount of time before,
or not even play, just watch a demo.
It's expensive as an attendee. It's orders of magnitude more expensive for the actual developers and publishers.
Yeah.
Right.
So like I think this is going to be the year they don't have that cost on their books, and they're like, where the fuck, what, why does this event need to happen? We don't need to go there.
Yeah. I think it's just the thing about like that though, is that like, that's part of a marketing budget, and it's so tough to figure out the world is in such a weird place right now that it's a hard year to judge marketing spend anyway, because we don't really know what effects this is all going to have. In some ways, like, you almost would think that sales would inflate because, and I say this with like a tiny bit of expert knowledge because I do work in internet retail, but like, you would think, and thinking from my own experience, like, I'm spending less money on doing stuff out of the house because I don't want to go out of the house. So, like, for example, Animal Crossing was one that I would have sat on the fence about, but now I'm like, whatever. I probably would have gone out and spent that amount of money this month that I would have bought Animal Crossing for, and I'm not going to do that now. So sure, I'll just buy it. So I don't know, you wonder about that, but then it's offset by like a lot of people are also going to experience layoffs and wage difficulties and stuff too. So it's just hard to gauge whether this year is going to be a good year to tell.
And we're not going to see a lot of the fallout, at least in the games stuff, for a while. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
So
is it good for a game like Animal Crossing that's like right at the crest of all this stuff? Probably.
Yeah. Like,
is it
would I have
good
bought,
for a game in 6 months? I don't know.
Would I have bought Nioh if I wasn't like, I have not been affected too harshly by COVID, but like I'm about to be home for like 2-3 weeks. So I was like, oh, okay. Bought Nioh too.
Wait a minute.
I'm gonna be home.
What?
COVID, Corvo.
It's from the whales, man.
Do you think that Bethesda would unleash something like this as a marketing stunt?
Yeah.
No, because we all know that the lab in Wuhan has the same.
Oh my God.
Has the same thing, the same logo as Umbrella Corp.
Oh God.
And Resident Evil 3 comes out in like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks.
Fair enough.
So
yeah, that's fair.
There you go.
But and I think if they were going to release one, they'd probably base it off of Emily.
Anyway, so yeah, the E3 canceled. A lot of other gaming stuff canceled, but there'll still be news about these new consoles. I imagine they'll have to get out there sooner or later and go, hey, we said it was going to be this holiday, but to get an actual number of products out there, we're going to delay into like the beginning of 2021 or something, which would suck, but do what they got to do.
Yeah.
All right. Next news, something that probably won't be delayed. Horizon Zero Dawn officially coming to PC. Not this summer. So, hey, that's the thing. That's a good game. People should play it.
I'm looking forward to the mods.
Oh yeah, for the Wario, just ripping the pants off of Wario with those tethers.
Big mechanical Wario. That sounds awesome. But I wonder how well that game scales. Like, I wonder if you can play that on a really shitty, terrible PC. Like, if it scales down, or if it's purely aiming up. Like, if it's going to look way better.
That game looks real good.
It does. But I'm just curious how far down it scales. Like, if it's using Vulkan and stuff like that, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, because it's got a lot of like moving parts, like on all the robots and stuff, where like stuff you can pull off, and I don't know how that stuff works. But yeah, hey, that's cool. I hope I hope that is successful for them, because more people should get to play that game.
Yeah, and I hope Sony starts putting out more shit on PC. I hope everyone starts putting out more shit on platforms that aren't just their own.
That's great. I think that's a good idea.
Well, I do have to disappoint you slightly, but more people making more shit. PlayStation is allegedly, reportedly, rumoredly producing 2 Silent Hill games. One is like kind of a reboot of the series with a bunch of people from the original like games. You've got Masahiro Ito, who did creature design for the first 4 games. Akira Yamaoka is the composer for the franchise for most of it, and Keiichiro Toyama as the writer of the original Silent Hill from 1999. they are rumored to be working on like a soft reboot of the series with Sony backing it financially, like the Sony Japan studio. So maybe that's a thing. This is from relyonhorror.com. They had like a source who kind of gave them all this information.
Yeah.
I don't know. That sounds promising.
Yeah, I hope this ends up being what everybody wanted out of PT.
Well, Alex, there's also a rumor that there's a second game attempting to be developed. That is, Sony is attempting to mend relations between
I saw, yeah.
Kojima and Konami to bring back Silent Hills. It sounds like they want it in the style of like a Walking Dead, like Telltale kind of game.
Oh, I didn't hear that part of it. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, it doesn't sound.
Or it'll use PlayStation VR.
Even worse.
So okay. So there are like a couple different ways. So they've had this information kind of related to them a few times, but so this says source number 1 goes on to say that the game will even make use of the next gen PSVR for PlayStation 5. It'll probably be like a PlayStation, or not a PlayStation, a Resident Evil 7 situation where you could do in or out of VR.
Yeah.
Allegedly, Sony has pitched the game to Kojima as a title more akin to a Telltale supermassive or supermassive narrative-driven title. So like a Until Dawn or like a Telltale game. Like I think an Until Dawn type thing wouldn't be terrible, but also all from full creative freedom. It's not a done deal, and they're just trying to get that off the ground, but supposedly the like series reboot, the soft reboot of Silent Hill is actually happening already.
I'll be interested to see what that, like, who is actually doing that, like, because
supposedly Sony Japan studio.
Yeah. It's just, what does that mean, I guess? Is it like the same team that works on their other games, or what? It's just
the people who made Everybody's Golf VR.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Is I don't know if I have that in me, but like, obviously a good Silent Hill game would be amazing. I don't think though. I just don't see a narrative game being particularly compelling, because the things about Silent Hill that keep it, that like make it unique and interesting, I feel would be hard to convey from just a narrative experience, because there's so much in the environment design and enemy design and like actual clunkiness of the gameplay that is important to like delivering the experience that, you could make a Spider-Man narrative adventure game too, and
I mean, they did it with Batman.
Yeah, but like at least Batman is a detective, so at least there's some degree of.
Well, let me tell you, they have made Silent Hills in dreams.
Yeah,
so you can go play it right now. It's already they can wipe their hands of it, go home. It's already exclusive to the PlayStation.
Well, for now,
yeah. So I don't think they're going to get that off of the service though, since it is using the Silent Hill IP. But
who knows? I mean, if regardless of whether it ends up being like if it's just a very good narrative horror game, it doesn't really matter if it's called Silent Hill. It just seems like you could also just make a cool narrative horror game too. Yeah, we need more of those. Like that's a good concept, but Silent Hill is just such a unique franchise to try to do that with.
Yes. Well, actually, it serves as a good reminder for a bit of news that we forgot to put on our list. Is it Frictional Games? Is that who it is?
We talked about it last week.
We did.
Okay, I wasn't here. Okay, good.
Yeah.
God, that happened last week.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yep.
Okay.
That was last week. Yep. Amnesia.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Well.
Sorry to bring you existential despair with that, Andre.
We're all living in Silent Hills already.
Yep. But you know who's not living in Silent Hills? Reggie.
He's living in a worse nightmare. He has joined the GameStop board of directors. My God, Reggie, what are you doing?
Hey, if he could pull Nintendo out of their slump.
Yeah, I guess like he had some good ideas for them, but that was like a branding type thing, and I guess maybe I don't know. Like the problems with GameStop seem to be more business practices. Like nobody likes to shop there. They only give you 26 cents for your games when you trade them in.
Yeah, I think it is also kind of the fact that brick and mortar stores are going away more and more.
Yeah, and also it's just, like brick and mortar stores are one thing, but it's also brick and mortar stores for a thing where you can download it digitally. Like
it's not even, you don't need a physical good.
Right. It's like we don't have many like video stores anymore. Like you don't go out necessarily to buy like to a Suncoast or whatever to buy an expensive DVD. Like
get some wall scrolls.
Yeah. There's a video rental store a 10-minute walk from where I live, but I think people use it more as a novelty than anything else.
Right.
And there's only one, and it's not a franchise. So like
I think Redbox is still somewhat popular. At least
they're stopping selling games though for rental games.
Redbox was like I haven't used it in a while, but I used it a couple of years ago, and it was nice because it was like a lot of the times it was cheaper than like a digital rental, and then also it was the location's just so convenient that you're like going to the store. Okay, I'll get a movie on the way back. Like there's no level of convenience with going to a GameStop.
Yeah,
I think that depends to a degree.
It depends on where you live.
Yeah,
that's true.
I think to some extent. Well, the other thing too that's important is that they're changing the way their stores are. Like they're moving to being a more of a like social space.
They're testing that. If that stuff actually happens.
Yeah. I think if that stuff doesn't happen and it's just like the best thing to do is to go back to business as usual, they'll totally go under. Because they have to do something different.
I don't know. There are places kind of like what they were pitching in my hometown, and I often did not see people in there.
Did you hear what Staples has been doing? No. So
I can't say that I have.
They in some stores they've been piloting. They cordon off a part of their businesses and they built a soundproof studio, and people can rent time for podcasting and stuff like that with like professional grade equipment, and you rent the room for an hour for whatever, a fee or something, and then
we'd never make it.
So like
try to keep this under an hour. Like,
well, it's billed by the hour, I should say. But like
reply all.
Yeah, but so Staples is making some moves kind of in that social space-y kind of like something you can only do at a physical location. But the thing is with the GameStop, like you can go to someone's house that has a PS4 and sit on their couch next to them. You don't need to go to a GameStop for that.
Yeah, but I do think that to some extent, there's two groups that the GameStop model could be useful for depending on how they monetize it. For one, if you are a parent and you want to get your kid out of the house for a little while, like I can see you're going to go with your friends and go to a Fortnite tournament at GameStop. Mm-hmm. There is that angle. And then also for someone like me, I don't know a single person that I could go sit and play Grand Blue Fantasy against right now. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. I don't know, like the only way that I will play that game is with other people is either online or by finding some place that's holding tournaments. Mm-hmm. And I'm not good enough to play in tournaments either. So if there was like a smart GameStop person who was kind of like, oh, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus is out. Are you new to fighting games? We're going to have a newbie night where everyone just kind of hangs out and learns the game together this Friday. Come on down. Now the difficulty is
you
how
live
do you
in a major
monetize
metropolitan city. I guarantee that exists.
Like the first, not to interrupt, I know you're continuing your thought, but the first thing that comes to mind is barcades. Like they seem like a perfect spot to have that too.
Yeah, but I don't know. Andre, to your point, I searched for Grand Blue Fantasy versus events, and there are certainly tournaments that are happening like every couple of weeks, but it's really intimidating to just show up to a tournament.
Sure. Well, in my hometown, there's this store or like place called Big City Game, and they used to be a game store, but they also did like you could pay for like by the hour, and like rent a console, and you could play whatever. You could like do parties there, and they have since revamped to be like, okay, we're getting rid of the game store because it's not worth it, doesn't make money. But then they've just gone, okay, we do like pizza, beer, and you can play games.
And I think
so it's a barcade.
They do tournaments, they do Fortnite, they do all that kind of stuff. And they have like also like theme nights, not necessarily tournaments, but it seems like
and like
that stuff is out there.
I don't know about where you guys live or where you guys have lived, but here at least very popular has become the board game cafe.
Totally.
Like that has become a thing. And if GameStop starts going into that way of things, of like you pay $5 up front and you get access to all these games with your friend, or friends, whatever.
I have never seen a GameStop bigger than the room I am in.
Also that.
So those are struggles that they have to overcome. Because I was going to say, like, I do live in a major metropolitan area, and there are local game stores that I would prefer to patronize over GameStop anyway.
Yeah.
They don't do the game store that I shop at that's right near me has a pinball arcade next door. They don't do console based tournaments. They don't do like sit on the couch and play a fighting game kind of tournaments. Whereas ostensibly the pictures I've seen from GameStop is like, hey, there's 2 beanbag chairs in front of a TV kind of thing. So the other thing I would say though is like, as someone who has lived a fair bit of time in not major metropolitan areas, the thing about this is, and this is why I'm hopeful that they go this direction and they find a way to make it work. In a small town in rural Michigan, no one has the money to start a video game store where they can hold tournaments and stuff like that. So that's kind of where GameStop has some value, because someone could say, hey, I want to open a GameStop, and there's some name recognition, and it's a little bit more of a they're already established GameStops in some of those places where there aren't local stores, there aren't board game cafes, there aren't all the kind of cool indie stuff that you see in major cities. So I saw a story that there was a GameStop in like, I don't know if it was Indiana or where it was, but it was somewhere kind of in the Midwest in a rural area where they don't have a local game store for tabletop games. So it's become a place where like multiple D&D groups are meeting. And that's pretty cool. And the problem though is that like, are those D&D groups meeting and sitting at a table in the back of the store and not spending any money? Because that doesn't help the store stay open. Yeah. And it's kind of sucks. The thing about the board game cafe model that works, and the place that you're talking about, Andre, is since you do sell food and drinks, like, yeah, you may only spend $80 on buying books there once, if you even bought your books there to play D&D. But if you're meeting at like the store that I play tabletop games at, you're probably spending a good $20 a week there at least on food and drink and stuff.
Yeah, which is kind of where I was going with the barcade thing is. They would have to start serving food or something.
Yeah, I went to a place, like, it's not like a standard barcade, but when I was in Montreal, that you basically, for as long as you're enjoying like a drink, you can borrow a retro game. So like they had Super Nintendos, they had NES, they had Genesis, like they had a bunch of different systems. So like I think that there might be some like technical legal issues with like, oh, you can rent a game, like there's legal issues with that. But like if you have a place that opens and sells food, sells alcohol, like people will go. And
that kind of gets into an issue though of like, I think for GameStop, from what I have seen of the way they've been deploying the strategy, it's largely aimed at like kids, right? At younger people, and so you can't serve booze to kids. And there's already liability associated with like making your place of business a place for kids to come and hang out. So
Right.
to then on top of that say like we serve alcohol to adults and also it's a place to bring your kids, it's like that those two things do not go together. So it'll be tough for them to navigate. I think it would be really cool if they could somehow bring community gaming to, like I said, to those more rural communities that generally don't have that kind of thing, where it's like instead of it's like 3 or 4 people trying to organize stuff at a rec center. Like I've been to Smash tournaments at small rec centers where 5 people showed up, and it's would be cool to have a more to have that kind of exist in more places at a place that is supportive of those events. But you know, they also have to keep the doors open. So
yeah, I mean, frankly, GameStop has made a lot of wrong moves, and like we've seen, Game Informer is GameStop, right? Because we've seen Game Informer have a bunch of layoffs recently, and like it seems like the current board of directors and management and everything up there is not a group I would trust to do this, but Reggie is. Because I would trust Reggie more than like most. Like if they were to bring someone in, that is a name I would be like, okay, there's some validity there.
It is a name that is like has clout in the game space.
Yeah.
So
and he's a smart guy.
He feels like my perception of him.
He did bring us to Bigfoot Pizza.
But my perception of him is he wouldn't put his name on something he didn't like fully believe in.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. So I would give it the benefit of the doubt purely because of the Reggie factor. And
so much of what GameStop, so much of the mistakes that GameStop has made, like people talk about the like, oh, you get 27 cents for your game. Honestly, for in a lot of cases, that's true of local stores too. Like
right.
a lot
that's
of
true of anything that has
that
street
is very
edge.
true.
Not. It's. I've always felt that kind of angle on GameStop is a little bit unfair because like any new product that you purchase loses like 90% of its value the second you like take it off the shelf and open it up and start using it. It's unfortunate, but it is just sort of a fact of life. Like the local store near me offers slightly better trade-in values than GameStop to compete, but you still are not going to be able to take a copy of like NBA 2K18 there and get anything more than a couple bucks for it. Like that's just the reality of the secondhand market for games. But the biggest mistake that, in my opinion, as someone who was working there when it was happening, that GameStop made is just the way, like in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is where the GameStop I was working at was, there were 4 GameStops. Which is just like they were within a 5-minute drive of each other. In a place where people mostly traveled around by car anyway. And there were 3 of them on bus lines. So it was like, why do we have so many stores? And I think that's the real
because they're all the size of a shoebox.
Well, but they weren't. They were fine. They were large enough to have stock and have people shopping in them. I mean, they weren't big stores. They're boutique stores, but you just don't need the number of stores that they started opening. And I don't know what possessed them to do that. And so I think that rapid expansion and saturation of their stores was a huge mistake.
Especially were any of those like formerly like EB games?
One of them was.
Then it got turned into a GameStop. So yeah.
But at the same time, like I was working there when the former EB Games got turned into a GameStop had happened. That had happened like a few years prior. There would have been plenty of time to say, okay, since this is becoming a GameStop, we're going to move the staff from this store, spread them between these other 2 stores, which wouldn't have totally screwed the staff because they're all within 5 minutes of each other anyway and on bus lines, and close down this extra store. But they didn't want to close stores because that looked bad to shareholders to start closing stores. So like they expanded super fast, didn't want to consolidate, and it just resulted in like there were like 30 of us that worked at GameStops in the area, and you only ever needed 2 people working at a time per store. And so it was just not a good strategy for managing that stuff. So hopefully, I guess what I'm saying is not that I want to see people laid off, but if they have financial struggles and they consolidate their stores down, I think that would go a long way towards helping improve their
what they've been doing.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
but it takes time for that stuff to have an effect too, and I don't think we've seen it.
But also, it's like people just aren't shopping there. It seems like you get like during the holidays. Like the last time I was in one was during the holidays, and like there are people in there, but during like general, just like day to day, I don't think there are a lot of people in a GameStop.
I mean, I go sometimes if I have time to kill and I need to browse, but like, am I really going to buy a game at GameStop? You know,
the last time I bought a game at an EB Games, because we don't have GameStop here, was Ring Fit, because that wasn't just something you could get digitally because you needed the physical.
Thing. Yeah, and I think that's the stuff that they're the stuff I've seen from the more retail minded parts of their store redesigns that are the non-social focused things is stuff like you can like, now this is not the time that I would want to do this, but which is also maybe going to hurt them, but you can like pick up the controller and try out this controller out of the package before you buy it, and you can put the headphones on and see how they fit and stuff. And so buying those like physical hardware kind of thing is certainly useful. It's just a question of, are there enough people that are going to do that?
Didn't they? We can get off of this soon, but was it GameStop that also did that like Apple side business thing? Yeah. Was that kind of a similar idea of you can try this hardware out?
No, those were more around repair and selling secondhand product.
Gotcha.
So it was more like bring your laptop, like, oh, you don't want to deal with the Genius Bar? Bring your laptop here instead and we'll fix it.
Gotcha.
So it was more about that. Yeah. And buying like used phones and tablets and stuff. They also had Bookstop. That was real. That existed.
All right. Well, I'm going to GameStop this conversation and move us on to really the most out of left field thing that I saw this week.
Really?
Super Mario Lego set?
That's the wildest news you saw this week?
As this is the thing I least expected.
Fair.
I don't know.
Like, everything's bad. Like, yeah, okay. Of course, that's what happened with the medical emergency. Like, yeah, okay, that's all. I could see that. Super Mario Lego set. I don't even know what to say about this. I don't know.
I feel like it's one of those sets where I know that I would have been obsessed with it as a kid.
Totally.
I don't know if I necessarily need it as an adult, but I just know that like as a kid, like if this had come out when I was like 7 years old, I would have like lost my mind because
if you saw an ad for this on Saturday morning cartoons, your parents would never hear the end of this.
Right. Yeah. No, I'd be like, please give me that Lego set. I would be, no. So it seems like it's really aimed more towards that kind of audience than like some of the more, the bigger Lego sets that are aimed more at.
This is not a bougie Lego set. It's a Lego set for the people.
I don't know about that.
Got Bluetooth and
really
LED screens.
Oh, it's got to be
expensive.
Okay.
Never mind. I didn't see that part. That's
I would say too. I think
Mario's got teeth, and they show up and they disappear.
What?
Okay, you gotta watch the video. It's we don't have the time or the ability to fully explain. It's like a connect and play experience thing. It's
toys to life.
Complicated. It's except that it's actually toys. There's no console, but
I think that's the most surprising part is that there's no like video game integration with this.
Yeah, I don't think that Lego does that unless it's their own stuff, like their own like.
Have they done that?
Well, they have with the I have a few of the sets from it. Other Side, I think is what it's called, but it's like there's like an ARG app on your phone that you can play with the sets with. What I was going to say is I don't know that Lego would do a thing that's like, we're making Mario Legos and open your Switch and cross it over with a Mario game. I'm just not sure
I don't
think they've ever done anything like that before.
No reason they couldn't start with Nintendo. I
don't know.
but they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do. I'm surprised they're like, because with like Labo and Ring Fit and like all the stuff Amiibo, all that kind of stuff, and it's like it ties into games, and this is just like, hey, here's a weird Lego Mario set, and it's Bluetooth, and it's got LED screens on the Mario figure, and it makes noises, and okay, I guess. What?
Yeah. And I think to your point, Allison, is like, yes, it's definitely like very exciting for kids to play with, but also a shitload of adults are going to buy this thing
for sure
once and leave it.
Yeah.
For sure.
I watched the video. I don't is it a game? Is it like a board game?
I don't think it's a game. No, I think you can just make the toy the Mario interact with the bits.
Which is exactly why, like, as a kid, I would have totally gone crazy over it, because it'd be like, you make your own little levels and you can kind of pretend you're playing Mario. So, but I mean, I know that there's definitely going to be a lot of adult people who buy this, but it just feels like one of those things, though, where they're like, you see that Nintendo's aiming at its core demographic, or it's aiming at children, which with this, as opposed to being like, this is our, like, instead of making like, okay, here's a giant Lego set, it's going to cost $500 only for adult collectors. Like, nah.
No, son. Yeah.
No details on price, it seems.
It'll be $120, I bet. That
It'll be expensive.
Like
well, the commercial, it said that it was multiple sets, so it's like you'll have to buy several.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I'm saying I bet that the set that what the electronic Mario comes in will be probably around $100 or more.
Oh, it's got to be.
And then you will have a limited set of pieces to build a course with in that set, and then from there,
yeah. But you know what? It's Lego, so if you buy more Lego, you can build infinite sets.
Well, yeah.
But then you have like the extra pieces that let you do like the coin sounds. And
that's what I'm
like
saying. Yeah, totally.
Stuff, so, but
Mario is colorful enough that you could use the standard Lego bricks in ways to make it work.
And people are gonna make like real wild like dioramas with this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
cool.
That'll be fun to see.
Yeah.
So moving on. Out of our nightmare Lego world, do we need to talk about this Tarkov thing?
I don't know. They're assholes. They suck. I
think this is in here because someone asked for a refund because the game was not playing well on their computer, despite the fact that they have above the minimum recommended required specs for their PC. And so they're like, hey, the game runs like garbage. Can I get a refund? Like, no, we don't offer refunds for any reason whatsoever, blah, blah, blah. And then the person was like, okay, well, I'm going to try and play the game again, but like, see if I can get it to work since I have it. And then it was taken off their account, but they were not giving their money back.
Yeah, correct. They do that stuff all the time. The EULA for that game is an absolute nightmare. You can basically get, I never tried to play it again. I asked for a refund after their whole bullshit, like no women thing, and I got a similar response that they also extra suck ass, because rather than just being like, sorry, we don't offer refunds, they go, you should look at the EULA. In the EULA, it shows that we don't have to give you a refund, and it's like, well, obviously you don't. But then they will I have heard stories of them just like, if you're critical of them, they take your access to the game away. They did it with there was a whole scandal which, before all of the awfulness about not including women and all that came out, it was sort of a like, who cares? But there was a scandal early on where there was a YouTuber who had offered some criticism of the game in their early alpha, and they just like DMCA'd his YouTube videos and banned him and shit.
Didn't they have like a data breach?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that was the thing. One of the things that this YouTuber was critical of, and they were like, well, it's not part of the game, so we're DMCAing this because that has nothing to do with the game. And you're saying that you're doing a video about the game and clearly not talking about the game. And so it's just, they suck. They're awful. They also, they hired, they're a Russian company, right? So they hired a ex, like, I don't know what he was.
It's an ex-mayor from Indiana.
They hired a like person who used to work for the Defense Department. I don't know if they were a veteran or if they just worked for the Defense Department, but they hired
really
them
making my joke work
from the United States as a consultant to go and work on relationships with gun manufacturers in the US so they could license the guns for use in the game, which they were already using the guns without the license. And they were like, whatever, we'll make it legal by going to these gun manufacturers. It turns out that if you are an American citizen, it is against the law for you to liaise between American arms manufacturers and foreign and business entities. And it is especially bad if you have ties to the Defense Department or the military. And so
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
This person didn't know that, and then people started and they were like a community. Their official job was like community developer, and they were like on the forums like, "Hey, I'm talking with Targus and Colt this weekend. We're excited to get officially licensed so that we can have Colt M1911s in the game." And then people in the forums were like, "Hi, I'm a Marine. What you're doing is like actually considered treason, and you could like, if you're active duty, you could be court-martialed. If not, you could just go to jail." Like normal jail.
Wow.
And so then Battlestate Games immediately fired the person, but amicably, because the person was like, "I don't want to go to jail," and Battlestate was like, "We don't want you to go to jail." But then they just were like, "But we're still going to use the guns in the game." So apparently there's no way for us to do business with the American gun manufacturers, but there's also not really any way for them to take legal action against us because we're Russian. So
yeah,
that whole company just fucking sucks.
Yeah, I think the reason this news is in here is just a reminder. Hey, that game is all right, but those developers suck hella ass. And
the game's cool. It's very unique.
Don't support those developers.
Yeah, exactly. Like, go play Warzone. Having played several hours of Tarkov before all of this stuff broke really bad, it's a very interesting experience. But you can get a lot of the same brain chemicals that you get from that by playing something like Warzone or PUBG or whatever. So don't give those people money. Stop watching it on Twitch too, for God's sake.
Yeah. All right. Well, next up, our last news story.
Which is a cool one.
Yeah. I think this is a somewhat new development. Published 13th March 2020. Dreams is exploring ways for creators to use their IP outside of the game. So in their Dreams beta evaluation, I don't know why it's I guess it's a new beta thing. I don't know. The game's out anyway. So they have a couple questions here. First question: who owns my original creation in Dreams? You do.
That's a good thing
for them.
IP
for the original creations that you make in Dreams. Hey, that's great.
That's a very important piece of the puzzle.
For sure.
I'm surprised that wasn't in like a EULA and then like already like known. Like I'm surprised no one dug into like that to like. But I guess maybe it wasn't answered yet. Maybe they're still working that out.
I will say that before anyone gets too excited, like the quote that I'm looking at from Nioh Molecule is like, we've had lots of questions from creators about using Dreams for viable business opportunities off PlayStation, such as concept artwork. I don't think what they're talking about is like build a game in Dreams and sell it on the PSN.
Not yet, no.
Maybe in the future, but I wouldn't get too excited about it as a vector for that.
But it is like if you prototype something and then you go, okay, I've made this thing, I at least own it. I can't. So if I go and I make it in Unity, Sony or Media Molecule aren't going to come and come pound down to my door to take my hard drives. And
that makes me so much more excited about the notion of using Dreams and learning the creation tools as someone who's not skilled as a game developer, because the fact that I could build something in Dreams, which has very usable, simple tools, and then go to like a community of independent developers who work on like small projects together, which there are lots of those, and say, hey, I have this prototype in Dreams. Would anybody like to work on it together? That's really cool and exciting.
Yeah. Like, I think it's interesting, like in the terms that they put out there, basically the only thing they say is, okay, in the credits, please use our Made in Dreams logo somewhere, like just as a way to say, okay, yeah, this came from Dreams. Like That's the only thing they're really asking for, which I think is
that's super cool.
And like, it's only available to a limited number of people at this point that have like been playing the game for a while, have uploaded stuff. But they've said like, oh, we've got interest from concept artists, music video creators, and want to use the tool. And I think the idea is you want to have that stuff available off of Dreams, whether that's like, I made this music in Dreams and I want to put it on YouTube. Like I don't think there's technically any way to stop, or like I want to make this music in Dreams and then I want to stream it on Spotify. Like, I think that like a thing that they're going to help people do? I don't know.
To me, the most exciting part of all this is that clarification of who owns the IP, because then it means that you could, like, I don't necessarily want to prototype something and then pull it out of Dreams to make it available someplace else. But knowing that they're not going to come, if I release it on Steam in 10 years or whatever, based on this little prototype I made, Media Molecule and Sony are not going to come after me saying like, hey, this is similar to something we have in our.
Or if you did like a narrative thing or. Or if you make a character and then you go and you can. So that's kind of the example. They like, if you've got artwork and you want to throw that artwork on a t-shirt, hey, go for it.
That's very cool.
That is all extremely good.
Yeah. What I would love to see, and this is very much a pipe dream, this is like probably never going to happen, but if they like had some partnership with Unity where it's like you export this game and you can bring in like the assets and shit into Unity and then like have something working to start with, and then you can extrapolate from there, that would be amazing, but very, very unlikely.
But honestly, I mean,
well, that was what they said they wanted to do, like off the bat.
Yeah. And 8 months ago, though, it seemed, or 6 months ago, maybe, because they did say they wanted to do stuff like that early on. But when this felt like it was more playable, when early access launched, it felt like there was no way that any of this stuff was going to happen. Like any of the like using it someplace else, clarifying it's your IP, that kind of stuff. So who knows? I mean, at this point, Dreams is built in an engine, right? So like, who knows how far it could go?
And in a way,
I thought it sprung forth fully formed from the ether, from
England.
It runs on Dreams.
Also, while we're talking about Dreams, get in there and Dream Surf and search for weird shit, and you're gonna find it.
Such as Car.
It is. Such as Car or Wario or Shrek. Yoda is pretty popular right now. I watched a film last night.
Sorry, that statement. I watched a film.
I watched a film last night that was
developed in Shrek 5 developed in Dreams.
Yeah, actually, the film I watched was Shrek and Baby Yoda having a lightsaber duel. But the way that it was like the two models, they didn't really animate them, so the two models just kind of like floated, and then there were disembodied hands holding lightsabers near them each. And then the lightsaber hands just started like swirling around each other, and then Shrek spun around a few times and fell on the ground, and then that was the end of the movie.
Spoiler.
Yeah, sorry, Baby Yoda won.
Wow. Was it actual Baby Yoda, or was it like buff Baby Yoda?
No, this was actual Baby Yoda, not Hulk Baby Yoda.
Okay.
Hulk Baby Yoda also, I watched a video that so I had to search pretty deep for Shrek and Baby Yoda having a lightsaber duel. Hulk Baby Yoda was like one level into the menus that I found Hulk Baby Yoda dancing.
That's almost Media Molecule surfacing that.
Yes.
Perfect.
Anyway, Dreams is a fucking Wild West right now, and you should go look for it and put in a generic word and then sort it by newest.
I like the tacit admission that like there's a lot of like copyright infringing shit with. You own the IP for the original creations that you make in Dreams.
Yeah. You can't make Baby Yoda fighting Shrek and then be like, this is my legitimately original game. Like,
no, that's so good.
Yeah. Wow. I gotta look at more of that's where my skepticism with Dreams lies right now, is like so much of the stuff that's been surfaced is the like, oh, we made Fallout 4 in Dreams. And don't get me wrong, it is absolutely incredible that someone made that thing. It looks wild for how like impressive it is. It's not fun to play it.
Well, no, that's Fallout 4's fault, not Dreams.
It's a worse version of Fallout 4. Like, it's not enjoyable. So, I mean, kudos to that person for enjoying recreating the game. Like, I'm sure for them, the fun is in building it. They're not expecting people to want to play through it. But I just want to see more cool original stuff.
And I think there's something to like taking something you're familiar with, something you know, something you like, and then like, okay, how can I recreate it? Sure, that can be like a good way to get started on something for like a bigger project. Because if you're like,
absolutely,
I don't really know what to do or whatever. Like, okay, how can I do a bunch of stuff that like I see like an endpoint for?
And hey, I'm not gonna, if someone comes up with a way to make a really cool lightsaber dueling system in Dreams, cool, like I'll play that. It's just the vast majority of the stuff that I've seen so far has been very dumb and not like something I would want to take out of that experience necessarily. So I'm excited to see more people maybe get even better at the tools so they can make kind of fresher original stuff.
All right, well, it's one last thing. There's a new Destiny season.
Oh God!
No, I'm not going to do this to you.
I gotta. If we do that, I'm gonna have to start talking about the crew, and nobody wants that.
No, I'm fucking around. I haven't played enough to have any opinions on it yet. Sounds like people are mad, but we'll get to that eventually.
That sucks.
No, but now we've got a Twitter question.
Hell yeah, we do. Thank you, friends.
All right.
Where did they send these Twitter questions to?
To at Gaming at Fyx Podcast on Twitter. Yay. Right? At Fyx Podcast.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
It's late. You can also send them to gaming@fyx.space.
Yep.
If you want to email them, if that's what you're into, we'll answer it. This week, we have two questions. First, from Alex Arona from the Super GG Radio podcast, which Slander and Libel.
I will be appearing on this coming Thursday for looking for.
Well, you'll be recording on
Thursday.
Recording, yes. Sorry, yeah.
Comes out on Sunday, Monday,
Sunday.
So look forward to the next, not the very next one, but the
a week from now. Yeah. Maybe the 22nd
ish.
I think. Yeah, 20.
Anyways.
Anywho, okay. Have you guys played Panzer Models, and how does it rank with other dating sims from Dream Daddy to I Love You Colonial Sanders?
Okay, so I looked this up, and this is a game where you date tanks. Like that's
like it's great. Panzer Models it's very silly. It's
like that hatoful boyfriend, like kind of vein.
I would maybe use that as a part of their scale, or Alex's scale here, because Dream Daddy to Colonial Sanders is a scale.
You were not a fan of Dream Daddy.
No, that's a scale from 0 to 0 to me. So I might say from I Love You Colonial Sanders being the low end of the scale to hatoful boyfriend. It's definitely more on the hatoful boyfriend end, because
you've played Panzer? Models, Panzer.
Yeah, I don't play a ton of dating sims. Like, I don't find them that interesting, but that one is just silly and lighthearted and funny. So,
do you think hatoful boyfriend is the extreme high end of that scale?
I think
it's closest in style.
Sure.
So
I'm not going to
say I've played some Hatoful Boyfriend, and if that's the high end of the scale, then it's a pretty clear that I am not made for that genre.
I'm just thinking in terms of just lighthearted silliness.
Yeah.
Because
it's very funny. I like how funny it is.
Like, Colonial Sanders is also pretty lighthearted, but it's not very good.
It's also like a really dark examination of how fucked up capitalism is. So not intentionally, not like the game delves into that. Like the fact that it exists is deeply problematic and upsetting. So
I didn't like Dream Daddy, but we don't have to dive deep into that if we don't want. Anyways, Panzer Models is silly and good, and if you want something lighthearted and dumb and cute in a way, then play it.
You know what, Alex? You're lighthearted, silly, and fun, and dumb and cute.
No, you.
All right, next.
I don't know if that was all complimentary.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Good.
Next, I need to know everyone. This is from Eric Gettinger or Getty. Both Alex and Getty have been on the podcast at COD Supervisor. I need to know everyone's level of disappointment about the delays to the Fast 9 release. This would be due to COVID-19 once again delaying multiple movies, accelerating the release of Frozen 2 onto Disney Plus, as well as Rise of Skywalker.
Yep.
The less said about that, the better.
I'm abstaining because I still haven't seen Fast and the Furious or any Fast and the Furious.
Well, you're working from home now. Now is the perfect time.
Yeah, Andre has a very good point.
That's fair.
That's some good ass movies.
You will not like Fast and the Furious at all, but I still want you to watch them.
The first one is good. I like the second one.
We're not doing this.
Again.
They all have their merits. They're just different merits.
Yeah, Fast 4 is kind of bad. And that's the only one I would say is bad. Anyway.
Are you guys disappointed in this delay?
Nah.
I mean, I want to watch that movie. I really want to watch that movie, but
I think it's for the global better good. To not
and
have
also,
people in theaters.
The global better good would us be getting a healthy dose of family. Healthy dose of family. It's a whole year, which is surprising. It's like, damn, that's a significant delay.
Yeah, it is. To some extent, I guess, like for me, I try not to. I don't always succeed. I try not to get super hyped for things until they're like a week or two away, because
so you're a very different person than me.
Then when they're delayed, it's like, whatever. Like, I don't, that Fast 9 before the delay may as well be coming out in like 2022 for me, because it's like, it's coming out pretty far in the future.
If that trailer hadn't been hadn't spoiled so much of the movie, then like I would agree, but I gotta know, man.
Well,
I gotta know. Because they put like the most important shit in that trailer, which again should not have been in that trailer.
So Allison, does that mean that because we have more work from home time, you and I have to do a movies fix on the Fast and the Furious series?
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, that would be really good.
I'll join. I'm free. I got the DVD collection, Blu-ray collection.
I don't think I'm actually seriously.
I'm signing you up for movie a day. All right. Well, with that penciled into our schedules, I think it's time to wrap up this episode of the Gaming Fyx podcast.
I've got more Wario memes to watch.
Episode 112 on March 14th, 2020. I have been your host, Andre Cole, aka your partners. Let's be inclusive here. Your partner's favorite work from home tip, Alex. Oh, and before that, you can find me on Twitter at Coolslaw, COOLSL4W. Alex, where can people find you?
Immediately after this, I'll be watching Wario Dies by Getting Poisoned by Mario with Waluigi on the sideline.mp3.
Find them in the comments of that. Pat, where can people find you?
You can find me at PJC Plays. And also there's some very good crossovers between the Ice Age baby and Wario on Dreams.
Ice Age baby?
Yeah, there's a baby in the film Ice Age. It's not weird. Don't worry. I'm not leading you down a like disturbing path. It's just
I forgot that there's a baby in Ice Age.
Yeah, so someone made a model for the baby in Ice Age in Dreams, and then there's Wario's. So,
did they make Ray Romano?
Oh God! Now I know what must be done. I gotta search Ray Romano and
report back next week.
I'll make it if it's not in there.
Yeah, full recreation of the house from Everybody Loves
Fully
Raymond.
Animated, walking Ray Romano.
I want you to recreate the entirety of every episode of Everybody Loves Raymond.
And I'll get audio from the episode.
Yeah, you just type the audio in.
But you
the entire series.
You should record the voice of Brad Garrett.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
So you can find Pat
I want this to
making
exist for so much.
Everybody Loves Raymond in Dreams. Alan, where can people find you?
You can find Alan on Twitter at WRITERSERENYTY. Also, please, if you have the financial ability, donate to your local food banks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
mutual aid programs in your area.
100%.
There's a lot of, especially, I'm kind of in the middle of it in Seattle. There's a lot of mutual aid programs where you can, as much as I don't particularly like Amazon, you can go find Amazon wish lists and then send much needed supplies to people that are in need. And it's great because it's not a scam because no one's scamming anyone for socks and underwear. So yeah, you can have those sent to people who need it the most.
Yeah,
You've just given me a great idea. I need me some MeUndies. Bleep that. They didn't pay. All right. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back next week with another episode.
This one is called Wario Gets Sucked into a Plane Toilet and Fucking Dies. And the channel is Vanilla Piss Mountain. And the entire description is yes.
I'm going to need a link to that one.
Okay, bye.
Bye, y'all.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.